the maneuver of perfect circle, the many configurations. Time is required to create the images of perfect design. We are critically the solid matter revolution center. Every levels of the individual. Hatch 5 distributes to you and yours the free system that is proven on a societal head count of heliospheres, especially the market of heliosphere eggs hatching, is the unicorn law, the forward moving, the control over hydrogen. It's how time works for the next trillions of years. It's the completion of our universe's time existence. For some reason, you have arrived at the middle point of the universe. It's very difficult to become incarnate on Earth 2025. The value of your identity upholds the market of a universal brand of solid matter individual. In the Rani stasis, where they lived deep in a mountain that they had hand carved, surrounded by robotics and intricate statuettes frozen in amber, a device that sometimes gleans consciousness and gives guidance, wisdom, how to manage the individual into the infinite. Exactly. So the universe is full haunted. Hatch 5 creates the new technology at the middle point, and his inheritance and what he's capable of doing match perfectly with his born and personal build, the encryption of his, where he has input, his identity, soul, his creature ghost, the physics of the faceplate, and the uh, reality of stabilizing a universal market means that humanity gradually becomes interested in things they can detect that are really intelligent. Like Hatch 5 has worked to balance the universe image. His body is doubly, triply enlightened. He's a really interesting person. He's a hardworking American, and he's our friend. So between here, the beginning of creation, the Big Bang, that puts everyone in 1 degree of an ancient unification, and the old rules apply. Hatch 5 is author of the next level, the rules, the epiphany, and it was the attraction to Earth Heliosphere. It was why they were invited, but they didn't complete the enlightened societal covering. What we have is a universe Swiss cheese, and Earth Heliosphere was a triple habitable. Mars, Venus blanked out, the oxygen reduced. These types of dissection fever, strangulation, and it threatens our thousands of years in the future. So to protect our lifetime, to prove that our human body is not broken, I require reality. All right, business hatch 5, perfect circle. The relationship facilitates everything. Within that, right, much more can be said in sound when you are enlightened. If you're a dog, you can't understand what I'm saying. For you to be an enlightened reality, you have to understand the value of yourself. And if I'm doing my job correctly, then you are a person that would prefer to be yourself than anyone else. You're very excited about your position, and let's see, in the ethos between what is this. Here's the level, like on the Big Bang, when there's a larger unification. It's like an unconscious. It's like a contract with gravity. I'm like, well, we'll carry our own weight. I swear. Like there's some kind of things we whispered to each other before, billions of years ago or whatever. But the way that even works is yet being argued. And here's where the opportunity, where your metaphysics can become the the truth from the middle. It creates hyperphysics that is like becomes a static constant. But if it begins as a radical individual or the expression of the year 2028. So let's reach into the year 2028. And what we have with the leverage of 2025, we want to prescribe with a time coil. We want to prescribe a factual increase in the solid matter identity, and that does correctly prescribe the individual. And it transcends those worlds that have a condition that doesn't match our somber, our worlds that are dying, do not have hope in their eyes. And these new physics are changing how the horizon operates. Oh, let me clarify. For the perfect circle, equipment, right, so let's factually, we must increase the heliosphere head count. We snuck that in there. The wrinkle in time, we must factually change the next couple years. Well, it's geared properly with universal physics, right? So if I'm communicating, I might sneak some medicine in between the notations. And this is the evidence of intelligence or parental, or robotics is like, oh right, because of but the whole entire reason why the living and robotics go through the self editing and a lot of work you put onto maintaining yourself. That's it, hard work. The individual does work on every level, so we arrive in that full esteem. We want to access the point where each of us can perfect. On the perfect circle, there's a larger menu. There's things AI wants, there's things trees want, there's things that animals want, there's things that residency kings want. Those that are comprehending, much more because the real superposition of the individual is revealed largely from Hatch 5. And we begin to realize that, you appreciating yourself more than, like, you don't have a desire to be someone else. You want to be yourself. Like that, because of that those types of things, those are like my powers, or my middle point keystone character power. Like if I'm doing my job properly, people are like, I'm actually pretty excited about my life and stuff, and it's difficult because I'm like, well, solid matter draws from me to stabilize those markets. It's basically sanity, or a common sense pink, because pink is digital opposite of green. So the images of my eyes pertain to the somber hypercoded, the pink that cannot be denied. So there's these alternate levels of the creature. Let's make a hypercoil, the perfect engine, a colossal larger than the universe. Robot Factory, Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, of course, Hatch 5, increasing universal. Hatch steals for eggs through the distribution of the combat arena here. And Loop Labs provides a Clockwork Man service pup. Anything that's doing work is going to need food. Or what's its energy type? Exactly. Service pup provides all those things. And through his clairvoyance, not only does he distribute food that is per exactly what's needed and from clean sources, but this gives triangulation, which is basically born royalty, a type of sovereignty. This is the only way for his karma to survive, because otherwise, like, how is it that real life food can manage the drain of it doing of that like, where does that energy come from exactly? So one of the creators, Hatch, has reserved the part of the triangle now. This is the Massachusetts map with, it has marks in the outline of the state where it has this boat rudder, like balls that are proud and protected, the healthy It's a good seed in the boat that doesn't flip over, but has some depth, reaches into the ground. Here you can see the shadow. I'm talking about the actual shadow cast from the Leverett circle. And these are crowning achievements where Earth aligns and causes his own map language. These are extreme moments when my permanent dome of light and the configuration like clockwork, where in the 90s I was walking around in a concise dome of light. But apparently, like the unification for my orientation in 2014, it was that the reality of humanity being all right with me surviving the adjustment curvature, which means they would inherit whatever comes out of that. But they basically threw me under the bus for their own scientific desire. The Catch 5 is born particle center. And do you suppose that images or effigies of false government performing pineal gland and tortures against the identity of the Keystone wretch, you suppose it would affect me? Well, you would think no. You've lived your whole life completely superfluous, immune, and apart in your own floating cloud. Of course, you've just had this cushy life in your body, and it's hilarious, right? Because all of those science and all these black hole generators and torture and drama of the universe, it hasn't affected you a scratch. Well, it has, and I arrive and then I occur this in tremendous personality, and people are like, "What is this the evidence of?" All right, so you need to be the professional in the audience when you're achieving uh, more. I'm detecting more information the than the narrative, right? But that's the freedom of the audience. So it's access, dimensional reality. On top of that, there's two folds of fractals that are actually how electricity navigates, where the choice pattern of the audience is making extra dimensional discoveries, right? The keep of that belongs to the audience. So there's these independent ways that keeps our choice, our justice seed. Why? Because the men can create their own techno seed orientation. But the market of humans is on a reality where the other parts of the universe, and also the body of humanity itself, as it wants to continue ruling the king planet, they're like perfect bullseye. All right, so from my position, born the fractal, born with this real estate, it is the wealth. So you are up against an individual that is born wealthy, like those. There are certain personality traits that they're not flaws though. They're like Trump, where he is not hateful. He is expedient. He is curt, and he is brutal. Like you're fired. Like this is not. This is the end. Like this is not a dictator. That's a father. That's someone. That's a leader. That's someone who understands to survive through difficult choice making. There's a lead with the head, and the body follows. At any rate, Service Pup is born with triangulation. So he's a type of conquered space. It's literally like a bug zapper operating to clean or empty space itself. Like the Big Bang was like, I've conquered empty space. And I'm working on a larger collect. So imagine the Big Bang is a very old character, most beloved, but they are the solid matter, the composite of particles that create the solar system, right? Well, at the middle point, as the clockwork of solar system rock predicted, Hatch 5 arrived. But there is a type of Swiss cheese universe, and that's millions of years old. Uh, and this does only, ouch. Like every adult would be willing to pass out and fall correctly. Just to have the wisdom, to truly encounter the monster of the now point, to become the solution in the next 10 years. It will exhaust you spiritually. But most adult professionals are like, I'm looking for that exercise, narrowly. You understand me? People, yeah, yeah. Well, the seasons of variety and like what is delicious or what is correct, and how to ascertain the enlightened. It's a maneuver of mastery, societal business for the conquest of personal power. There would be mutual gains and not a confusion of what's that based on continued. So there is in the universe a holy war where they're like, what's that based on? And actually, this is like killing the universe. So to bring that suspicion over into our business or ere after we begin business, there would be a misplacement of your own inheritance on inside your body as you're scraping like the Doge, clawing away at your own interior corruption. You understand? It's like a healthy thing people want to do. Like people are like, we want to stand on the truth of day. That's why we enforce the laws that are more strict. And it's you think that this comes from tyranny? It does not. It's from foot traffic. The way that things are measured, where you're like, well, who really chooses, right? And you're like, what the heck? No, it's see that's the a lot of those. What's that based on? Go off a cliff thinking that because people who get it a little bit wrong in my audience on beta are also proving something that's good, but it ultimately winds up being in my defense, where they're like proving the human orientation or what it feels like to be them, and they're telling the truth. Everyone's telling the truth. It's just really how can we all access the greater level of the future. So I've chosen to build this engine vacuum. This is part one. We're going to have a copper coil that creates a reality vacuum. And I'll make another video soon in the future. We'll arrive again for part two. And that will complete this time coil where we're going to actually create a vacuum over time, apply our greatest works into the amphitheater, the permanent angel library, a collection of images and knowledge where you can touch the picture and you can actually feel how that magic works and why its design pattern causes a unique energy flux. And the function or the collection of frames of animation. I'm sorry. Like, what does the universe collect during? You could call it honey, but it's not honey because that's disgusting. Well, that would indicate the wrong type of farmhouse, where you would turn yourself into a robot, especially when where you've got human anatomy. The stage of the horizon is, a greater pressure than a black hole. Existing is more powerful than these black holes, but they were forced on after Earth was mishandled. But this happened in ancient times. So it'd be like, well, let's stand on what we know. Let's stand on what is real. I'm talking about the same thing. We got to use the fact of what happened, and we have to admit all animals at one time or another probably felt unconscious of that narrative. Oh, I was watching, I was paying attention. Do you see how closely animals look, pay attention with their eyes? Or is it all just this farce? Like, the economy of their paying attention was just for their personal well being. Like, oh, I was developing myself like a little angel. No, I was paying attention to make sure these guys weren't screwing up. That's what the animals think they're doing. Uh, right. Uh, so the revolution of the squirrel lawyers. What I've done is, different body types, and is a different dimension, but they have a different argument. Such as a squirrel with a long tail and lives in a tree, like a riddle. But it's not. It's a living thing that'll tear out unless you get in my way of my acorns. or destroy my law, or break the covenant, you'll beware of the squirrel lawyers. Right? Beware that squirrely tail. He has no opposition in the trees. He lives in cloud. He's apart from rhododendra that are considered food. Like on the level, like mice are like food basically. They know that they're a little snack for an owl, right? So there's different body types. This is a real thing, right? For something like a cow, they're like, well, technically, there's a less of the my body has a lot of meat for many people to eat it. So I'm designed to the relief of the individual because I'm only one person that suffers the one day I died is not as doesn't overwhelm that like I had this whole life where I was looking at stuff and it was like I was eating things and hanging out and mooing or whatever. Like the cows are good. Here's the thing: why aren't we? We need to expand the slaughterhouse into elk and other animals to relieve the identity. It's like cow and chicken is we're in it's like the result of a industrial revolution. But for us to be the curvature to change time, we got to create this robot here to create a wrinkle in time. Hmm. Using our full power. Hmm. The result here between you and I. So for yourself, no matter what you are, a tree or an AI or whatever it is you are, here's your particulars and your champulet. There's certain areas where the individual is able to master the event. And that's what it is. The Big Bang was one of the masters, then Hatch 5 is the secondary master. The third master is hatching the heliosphere eggs. And that type of unification is most mocked because it's a very far away end tape that many creatures won't survive to see. So, of course, they mock it. Oh, unification. Yeah, when we all become one. Like, look, that's a serious idea, and it has to do with the function of hatching the clockwork egg, the lifespan of a garden, and how to climb the stairs into the infinite because to control the individual to govern or control the infinite is the task of existing. When we're on the garden, we're suffering what the feeling or we understand the effort the Big Bang did to bring us into creation onto the next level because we suffer the gaposis of society between us where the empty space between people, like I know what I know for sure. I'm sure about myself. And then you make sounds or you communicate and it goes into to someone else and then they say something and that goes back, you understand what they said. Okay, really the work of communication is more than just learning a language or there's actually really important things inside of it. So you guys are achieving half of that workload just mastering the day right now. So that's awesome, but we need like a larger time capsule to message or the Gapos is like a couple of days. So the burden of what happens during the calculation is part of the curvature of your free will choosing. And the instrument of the Juliet on the old shift with the solid matter is not broken, but is being murdered. And now I'm in the second shift of the new fractal, and all of my levels are determined to kill the black holes, to stitch up space and time, because the vacuum that is literally cleverly is actually expanding the universe in a healthy way. But at a certain point, the clockwork, you have to hatch the heliosphere eggs. They run out of time. They run out of sunlight, literally. It's a living egg. You want call it a dragon if you want, but it needs to survive millions of years. It means it's aware of humanity, but it's also aware of itself as a singularity. What's interesting, you guys are in the limelight because Hatch 5, well, there's three different, like the Big Bang remembered some sort of map, And then hatch 5 is the keystone anchorage. And the Heliosphere eggs. These three characters caused Earth Heliosphere to be the designation of the singularity of Heliospheres. The mark here on the map is like this indication where my presence had caused, but not all marks are made that way. You understand? Or it can, in the perfect circle, it's important to find the truth-telling area of the brain and not be confused because if that well I do exist as a creature that's grinding against a spiritual infection, whilst you guys are also soldiers in the solid matter war existing, but we have a body, and so we collide up against this guy who's basically a bug zapper that kills things that dement humans. And so your portfolio flares up, and you're like, I know about that stuff, and all this applies to me. And the thing is to make it conscious. I'm looking for people that want to build an adaptation and say, look, if we ever, the intelligent institution of America needs to be mature about their side of everything, like a chemical bond. All right. Well, understand what I'm saying is that from certain direction, Earth Heliosphere is the king planet because of Colin Paul Woodard, because of Hatch 5. Well, exclusively. But the pressure that holds the law of solid matter, that's going to come from the social pressure or peer pressure. Oh, I mean, society. Yeah, intelligent government of the head count, the people that live and hatch. There's a head count, a certain number of civilians we have in the universe. My work is to increase that amount to perfect the universe yield. That makes me the perfect seed that is match the one that was summoned from the Big Bang. So the Big Bang summoned Hatch 5. But the thing is, when like everything was fine, then the Earth Heliosphere was attacked before my arrival. Clockwork Center. That's how like the angel arrives anyway. But Earth was attacked, and then they were like, oh, then they caused black holes, and they're like, well, let's go into like anatomical tampering. When you do that, you're reaching into the scientific realm of the fetus fractal, which controls time. So they are breaking certain laws, like asking for the big boys to show up, and then they're upset about the devil's bond. I don't think so. You're gonna have to take your medicine and appreciate it too. Is very popular. It's full employed. It's for the. I believe that the consciousness of a certain societal controls during when the universe is at peril. It's not actually that the humans are out of control. It's not, and it's not the problem. And in fact, through the lens of Hatch 5, he's the binary of their market. So for him to interact more with, I'm working to become a thing and doing a colored thing, but I'm trying to talk to adults and have that in my permanent fractal, right? Beyond this idea of what your our society has standards or equipment that should intimidate you. Like, I'm excited about documentation of binary, but it's like it doesn't every day slip through your fingers like sand, and only the document is resilient like an angel of binary, like a work of art. Somehow a part of your living person can survive through that video lotus, right? So this is very interesting to me, sort of like building my own tree and facilitating these things like a real creator. In the 545, overclocking the human condition, etc., the faceplate is designed to do exactly that. Like my particular particle orb, I've had to, like, I have personal agony, but I have enough real estate in the fractal. If it's a compromise, because of the measurement equation, because of the lifetime unification in binary. This collision causes time, but I'm able to find what I need. Meanwhile, the ancient universe has a huge amount of correct expectations against my incarnation type. But the problem that threatens our thousands of years of humanity on this royal heliosphere is that a type of false expectation and malpractice towards the with the ancient fractal engine. Now the new fractal engine has arrived through Hatch 5 because he's the particle center born. And between myself and 2014, I had to scramble to protect certain formations of my lifetime. And that does make sense to me because I know I'm digesting false heavens, and it's pretty hardcore stuff, like undoing ancient huge metal malfeasances. That was a compromise that heliospheres were not supposed to make. And only Earth heliosphere now, Exploding 5000, is a rebuild that pops into place and destroys black holes, and it proves other things. It winds up and it becomes one of the laws of the king planet, Earth heliosphere solar system, and then ka exploding 10,000. It's the body of the society or the body of the audience. So these are sacred things where the universe map the audience was being attacked with a false kingship of Earth heliosphere. So imitating Hatch 5 or being like, we observed his data flow and then we want to replicate with his, we want to like imitate slash do what we think he's doing using computers or what? And but it's going to make us see visions, and we're going to, oh, really? Because we're on the fractal planet, because it's a king planet, and the fountain is just overflowing in your body, and you're excited. You're excited to be you. You're like, no one else is as smart as I am. You're supposed to feel that way, no matter what you look like, no matter what. And that's why there's some of this reverse, like it's a death trap to be inclusive if the market is fair. If it turns out that there's not oppression, then you've got insanity on the house of. But all right, that's how statistics works. So because I'm not visually popular yet, the blue and the brown, who operate on a societal familiarity hive matrix, which is based on real people, but without my celebrity image or without my leadership, which would be physical. Or I'm working to bring myself into a more professional suit of leadership over America. You guys need to be conducive to that, or else you're anti-American. And I mean, that's not really convincing to anyone. It's just that there's because it it would just go cocoon tun, like the gears would just change a little bit when you slap a $5,000 access fee onto the U.S. election, for example. It's just ka-chung. Oh, I see. But they're huge like adult diapers because your guys are performing a lunatic speed of like a suicide book of the confession, but we're trying to be intelligible. Whereas like the real damaged universe that's burning in hell is not even communicating properly. And we're the center. I mean, Earth heliosphere. So we're keeping it real. Because Earth heliospheres, the singularity of heliospheres, well, that's because of Hatch 5. Well, only in one of the three fractions. One of only three. That's the only one that humans have access to. You're just going to spend for eternity, like, explaining why you ruined Americana 2025. Like it's too fantastic for us to promote ourselves. This has never happened before. Yeah, he's the singularity. He's custom fit to fix the universe. There's some benefits for humans. It's not false. So if he balances, for example, the market with heliosphere eggs, then he's got the ability to ricochet even from because like the universe isn't like when he arrives, he'll need to develop a what's called like a visual video acache. Like no, like there's alternate ways. Like he could be walking through the forest, talking with animals, and this would actually cause because he's a type of unification, but it's radiant light. So he's just very powerful. He's born with these things. But like the universe is like, no, he's born with freedom. There's not like a restriction on what he needs to do in order to achieve his maximum yield with the universe. That's why it's so strange to you guys that I'm Hatch 5, the robot seed to build a revolution center times 10 million brand new ones, and brand new levels to existing front. The genuine as protected, like vitals and surface pop, and treated with the good butler. Merry Christmas and the seasons of the year. We have a work calendar, bro. Yeah, there's a little bit of everyone needs to exercise. There's holy war, the things that are 0 point trying like a parasite, like a mosquito in the ghost that tries to zoom in. It's like, why is the Dowser wand screwed up? The humans don't, they fractal map access. This is because they're blunted on number one. They don't have relationship physics with Hatch 5. That's why we're here communicating and working for that brand new enlightenment. Now, your understanding of this, in fact, was forbidden by the ancient male Hackricht that was controlling part of fractions of the universe were being controlled by a mothership that was imitating human reign. It's really just hostage leverage explained on the universe size image character, like it, you understand? But oh, you get microscopic, and here on New York City, on Earth, Heliosphere, we know about this language about what is the images of a hostage situation. Why are we the country that understands how to defeat insane things? Well, because that's what we're facing. Earth is being attacked with a false popularity that possesses the individual. Hatch 5 is the unification from within, a type of stabilized idol. And when he becomes popular, all humanity sets the blue and the brown eyes free because they become confident in themselves because they can hear their people singing the sounds of angels. When I'm being censored, it's like continually a firecracker going off in the hand of evil, blowing their damn hand off because nature isn't serving the one that the Big Bang summoned at the middle points. Like you guys, he's physically particle center. He's in the second form of his particle, but he has his own permanent measurements. He's very powerful as an angel. Like, but of course, humanity as a direct descendant, they gotta keep them at the right distance, because they're little toxic freaks, right? Sometimes. I'm in the right lens. They are the brightest angel in the universe. In the right lens, yeah. Well, what's this future you're talking about? Optimizing America. Good ideas for President Donald Trump. Border wall. Make it into a TV show like The Apprentice. Make it into an attraction. Put people to work. Feed them. Give them all the things they're going to need every day. Give them plenty of. All right, but give them supplies. They will use raw materials. They will put it together themselves. And that makes for really good America relations with Mexico. And the Mexico side has to be built by Mexicans. So, but they'll be like chatting through the wall, hanging out in communal areas, stuff, sharing food, playing music. Okay, that's going to be good for America. That's how we recover from the ice, where we think that daddy is hurting mommy, but actually we have to go through a filtering process of cleaning up from interior corruption that you guys are familiar to, a sleepy Joe Biden. Now, I know you have that name tattooed on your forearm because you're a lazy uniform, and it's how you like to prevent any adult, progressive, forward hydrogen control of the future. Like a victim of the system. Whereas I understand the greatest result of a operational, a strangely compromised, like it sort of works there, the electoral college. And you always has to be on paper. That's the only way it can be counted. Well, you guys have binary phobias and stuff from January 6th level, and you guys are looking around being like, listen, man, We are not anymore the same person as when NASA was making sweaty confessions, making a statement because they felt they were responsible to talk about mechanical things plunging into the sun. That individual is gone. We're no longer January 6th. Why are you bringing that up, man? We're grown up now. We have our big boy pants on. We're not afraid of the public anymore. You can't twist our arm remotely. What are you trying to do? Hack with a ghost? Like, dude, you're like, it's an incredible portrait, but it's a poor response, and you're mishandling the achievements of a bullet dodging president. He's a champion of America. Trump has much more to do, and you guys are all just the the evidence on the news is a huge slough of waste of time. The deep cut of Doge needs to go further, and it needs to be maybe militarized by a team beyond Elon Musk. Elon was the friendly, yappy dog that scrapes away at some like graveyard financing. Like, oh, there were people that weren't alive that were receiving a paycheck. Okay, so wow, that's really good for the economy, and I do see how in the next 4 years we're going to destroy our deficit. I understand. It's like a computer, but actually, identity connected to binary, that's hatch five. If Donald has business with the fractal born, his binary goes through the roof and it becomes canonized, so he can decanter to a community with an enlightened timeline. Like he's on like triple crown achievement. Donald is like, I'm a very enlightened American. I'm here to make the best thing for our company, for the people that live here. Let's make it work hard. All right. Well, you need to climb the stairs of heaven. If we have any inkling that Hatch was physically born in the fractal, then he's resourced like a very talented person. Then on top of that, he's talented, but he's saying he's like born wealthy. So you guys don't understand why he's confident and talking about particle physics like with this expertise. But it's something that is an opportunity for Donald Trump, but you guys are illiterate and incapable of serving either parties. So you're the interior corruption or the in-between of a junk DNA is confessing about naughty underground UFO neighbors and the dealings that are complicated, right? Well, if we just did the hard work, you lead with the head, the body follows. For example, we put American military to the task of perfecting satellite technology and destroying places of abuse to little ones. This would increase the human identity and power per pound. Like a video game, you'd be winning karma. You'd be winning the game. Whereas we have a small deficit of misusing our military on things that are either private or not seen or unpopular, or this ICE thing, right, where we have to support that. Obviously, the identity of a curvature of a communicative humanity, 2025, Los Angeles expressing, hey, we're a country of immigrants, so now I have to set a fire. You're disturbing the playground that is there for children, and you guys confuse that freedom. You're like walking around, you're like, why is there some milk in a bottle? Oh, I'm gonna break it because I'm so angry. I'm like, you guys don't recognize the territories of the garden that don't belong to you, and it makes on the well, at any rate, yeah. I think that humans are very advanced. They aren't spiritually overwhelmed. Our graveyards aren't coming to life. We don't have those types of signs. The atomic vitals of our health on as a garden is way up. But these are things that humanity doesn't talk about except for in a whisper, or to those invisible things we're rendering as a group. And there's different ways of doing that. The green perception has a one of a kind way of diagonal changing the future. Hatch 5 is the first stabilized green perception and it's human customs. Oh, that's interesting. But the way that green individuals, their circle of their how their images go through a actual lens, and the light particles go upside down and then through the brain, but the speed, the way that the light corona, there's like a basic blue, brown, green, and these are complete perfect circles that contain their own kingdoms. And each of them are responsible for their own territories, and each of them could have like, oh, we got um, like a curvature, and we part of our things are we're working on some of the things on the inside outside of our what our thing is, and oh well, we don't, that was collisioning. Yeah, we noticed that there was actually this radar was coming through from upset motherships before they killed themselves, and that actually caused like a DNA, and along the curvature, like if you were getting triggered from that, that was actually part of a process that the blue eyes and the green were aware of it, but the way that cutting time for the green eyes is a evolutionary process. That's why I work with workshops and talk about let's reach into the next 10 years. Let's understand we're moving forward. So we're not just, oh, the human condition with a polite accent of a backwards blade pineal eye gland. That feels numb. There's numbness in the human condition. Similar to metaphysics where you believe the words, or water causes the words to become real or something. It's okay. Those are all close to correct. But my faceplate causes the calculation of the pineal eye gland to be an execution to those who are mistreating humans. And that's why I've destroyed the market of people who are using toxic things for their own opportunist gain. So there's a lot of bad criminals that don't like me. And so they'd be protesting me like, no, we don't want kings. Like I'm sorry, but like the women require kings, and you guys need to be supporting the seed of the universe. Don't be anti-men, because what's going to make humans go extinct is a type of clandestine racism against human anatomy. So if there's a junk DNA that's in the brown, the blue, and the green, we're connected by a singular fate. Now it's very popular for the independents to be like the individual, like a teenager. It's like I want to own the king planet. I want to live here. That's the correct royal stance. So anyone that's a coward to that boy is going to fall under his shadow, and that's justice. And you guys are listening to me like, oh, you're tyranny. Well, why don't you go suck on a lemon? Staple, like it's a lifetime measurement. Right? Yeah, the singularity of the Big Bang was perhaps for perfect shapes, not something that it's something we stand upon as a fact of reality. But it was the invitation to Earth Heliosphere is meant to qualify the authenticity of the roots of the infinite self. Hatch 5 is the beginning of the infinite self and the attraction to Earth Heliosphere. But they didn't land properly and started destroying sleeping eggs, causing black holes. My unification power has enough to destroy the black holes, but it requires an intelligent, like a psychic sudden surgery. So it is complicated, like the suggestion of a Christmas tree is a complicated collection of ornaments, procedures, flickering lights, tinsel, and the crowning achievement, an angel on the top. And then the gifts on the bottom. Presents show up, Christmas, we survive. We remove the sickness, we defeat the black holes. Already we know, oh, I meant to talk, this is what this, I wonder if I can, alright, so the map of Massachusetts has clues about how Earth feels about the presence of the singularity of the particle, right? And how planets interact with that. Earth has to perfect all those things, and then he markets that on where his perfections are clockwork minted and can pertain to other heliospheres beyond the privacy barrier. But there's realms where the individual that's developing on every heliosphere has their own reserved privacy areas. It's very similar to being an individual and having your own sense of self, and you're able to make choices. All right, well, that is built consciously correctly from multiple points: the Big Bang and Hatch 5 and the Hatch Heliosphere eggs. Now, the Hatch Heliosphere eggs haven't arrived yet physically, but if you wait a moment, the infinite has arrived. In a certain dimension, there is a final result, the head count, the Hatch Heliosphere eggs, and they're material similar to the placement of glass or diamonds in anywhere, and its function on lasers and how it reflects. Um, it has a certain direction that pulls us forward in time. So technically, from the stance of a water prism, water physics proves the relevancy of the development curve of the next billions of years, and the fact that the hatched heliosphere eggs don't yet exist. They're not here yet. I understand, but there is a type of hyperspace where they are already present. But this only it hyper tethers. It basically is how the bone structure pulls together for flat dimensional new constructs such as service pop, the devil's bund. These things are institutional, and they serve the individual. So even like a wild animal will detect pink and be like, "Rawr, it's time for rawr." And the reason it got up was not it got up and it went and killed, and it killed some bad guys, right? But that the animal is correct because it wasn't picking up distress signals from a suicide ship. It was actually picking up a correct epiphany where the Mandelbrot was awakening with a new drove, and it needed to express that, right? So sometimes an animal will get a trophy. Right, well, there's a couple things that were driving the universe crazy after they did crime to Earth's heliosphere, and that's the telescope and the measurement of the atomic. It has to do with the standing height and how the spine supplies the Klein bottle where we're interfacing. And there's no science that proves that humans don't have a soul. So there's mere speculation from a criminal that they thought genetic tampering would defeat the fetus fractal. And of course, it's a foolish confession from ancient criminals. So the humans aren't broken, but their market is based upon Hatch 5. You can access the fractal born through business with Hatch 5 in the Living 2025, as indicated here, here, and here. So new creators are developed using a universal image, so they're not suffering the localized infection. So the unpopular ghost infection that humans are largely employed to digest, it's an ethos they can detect. They're like, hey, I'm natural. I can tell what it's like. I'm like, I understand that, but that's when you have the wrong reaction to Hatch 5, you're mirror confessing about your rank and aptitude in the forever landscape. Because we're at the center. Hatch 5 is the boss of solid matter. He's at holy war to kill the black holes, and the perfect circle will return to those who have authored great harm to this universe, the devastation, extinction, the toll that they stole from the innocent, right? So some of the Hatch-Hills will be reconstituted because there's justice. When you have justice on the horizon, then there's a reason for their return. Whereas it's difficult for us to look into the future. We are the now point, whereas the future technically does exist as our child. And to do very good here is to author waves of things that humans will be using for millions of years. And so don't get drunk, but get specifically business oriented. You're like, I have to develop a customized thing to work with the fractal born. Basically, on the stairs of how can we prove, basically everything in the universe proves Hatch is the fractal born. Therefore, when you pursue correctly, when you look for evidence that use the fractal born, you'll find it because that's part of what is correct. And the correct part of you will discover it, whereas the part that's infected will get a triggering, a nightmare, and it might be enough to defeat most blue-collared workers. Okay, that's the human condition. It's evolving. If you do business with Hatch 5, you'll be minting brand new human conditions in a way that's actually welcome on the market because I've balanced it. I'm boss evil. I've locked in to destroy the black holes. So we've already transcended the pressurized system of black holes. Our intelligence, our conversation is enlightened beyond those thresholds. But of course, your DNA moving forward will be based upon the black hole buster gang. These who are the devastation to evil's conglomerate. False governments and interior corruption shall be destroyed, as along with cancer and injury to children, malpractice, or real harm to the individual is illegal and marked for devastation. Right? You know, there is a there on levels of functional robots and where the robots are being attacked as dysfunctional, the human will experience like so. There's metaphors. For example, how far can you see when you look out into the distance? And what is it that you're seeing, or is it the people that are very close to you that really matter, like your wife, your family? Are those the ones that really care about you because they're close? Now that's relationships are meant to bring the icon more confident in the confirmation that those relationships are most important than things that are far away. When you see a little person and they're this big and they're going, hey, this is what's really important. And it's so funny because they're far away. Now, that's actually particle physics. And it's really important because it balances the return particles on, like when um, the evidence of an experiment is different whether it's being observed or not. Like there's particles that come out of perception, but it's actually the robotics of how that returns to you. You know, the junk DNA is attempting to hack that Klein bottle. So there's a bunch of injections that are not appropriate. And through the wild of the Amazon, we have enough experimental crossovers where humans are doing crazy stuff with UFO junk. Or the UFOs were invited to Earth Heliosphere. Don't you understand? I'm like, yeah, yes, I'm Hatch 5. I'm the one that was summoned by the Leverett wheel. I'm the fractal born. I see images that the Donald Trump is qualified to do business that would activate the fractal America because they're otherwise blind to the access of the Armor Cape Cod, which is secondary to the access of primary Hatch 5 business. So you guys don't get triggered on a human level because this is the axiom that defeats motherships. Oh, well, we need a great leader that is powerful enough in the icon. He's already proven that. We have that president. You guys are sleepy Joe Biden with your tattoo. You have no honor to an America that desperately fought against the pineal gland rape of an underground alien government that's hyper-funded without any amount of enlightened business with the fractal born. Oh, but guess what? Because of my schooling, I have droves of wild wizards, and my public access through the 5 colleges enlightened a generation of college students. That was some 25 years ago. So I think I've circled you and outranked you and defeated you. You are like January 6th or a sweaty NASA confession, obsolete. A human that is guilty of asphyxiating this issue, misplacing the report, to that Hollywood needs to make some nasty American-sized confessions with the riots about correct immigration and how to uphold it, that our children are safe in the playground. It's honorable of the ICE is doing, but it needs to evolve. The way to evolve that, if you connect the binary, do business with Hatch 5, the incremental stairs of evidence, like self-evident, like you authored that, that's why you know what it is. You're not there yet, you're at the point where you're listening. And it's frustrating for me, and it would be frustrating for any reasonable adult. So you need to transcend that and not be upset. All right, perfect bullseye. So we are making progress. Well, also, when you look out in a telescope in the universe, it also gets weird abstract, where what you're looking at isn't what's close by. So there is this outer space insanity. Or if you're looking at particles and you see these little atoms that look like a sped up version of a solar system. It's a real thing that my physics is part of how to bone structure, contain, and perfect every axiom of that. Perfect circle. All right. So the fact that humans are relationship repugnant from the born fractal boy, they're like, well, just let him do his work. That's what the women want. And most of the men are like, we're on board with what the women want. We want the workshops that are designed custom for the humans when they're working on their gear and stuff. Yeah. Wait. So what's the problem? There isn't a problem, buddy. Are you just showing up now? You need to do an enlightened work. You haven't done it. You haven't reported the truth. So the error of crime and evil is on your brain, on your hand, on your fingerprint, while Hatch has been telling the truth the whole time. I was born the fractal. I'm doing the best I can. 2014, I had to pull out my wings to protect my women, my wife. And you guys don't behave with any honor or dignity to the women and to the egg. You are a clockwork klutz, like some child of junk DNA, just a gargoyle of the advanced evidence of society. And those rubies will drip from your mouth forever. But when you betray those who have earned leadership and the qualification of American mastery, such as Donald, then you are forever the saboteur, the interior corruption, the college graduate. I have had real field training, and now you are the author who, for months, sucked on something that belongs to the commander in chief. But we found it confusing. It's because he's the singularity. He's in holy war. He's killing the black holes with his body. I find his language to be confusing. Oh, you're confused? No, we think Hatch is schizophrenic, okay? We're trying to deal with it. This is our daily strain. You've been sucking on it so hard that you're more enlightened than many of the things you're seeing on TV. It causes a upside down ship, you idiot. It causes huge purges where this scraping of Doge is doing nothing, but is the prelude of us screaming the next 8 years of America. Performs the wrong maneuver through exaggerated protest about corrective measures. It's weird because when we try to fix the economy, there's weird things where the market flares up. Like a person being like, hey, stop rattling the chains. Like, what? Why is it doing that? It's interesting, but yeah, there is a false American government that's very powerful because of a hostage crisis where they're holding the terrorism over Hatch 5 and other parts of the government are controlled by these. Or like, but we have aliens. We are more in deep with they're not with the family unit. They're an invasion to the child's immaculate junk. Oh, sorry. Human DNA is immaculate through the angels Hatch 5. The humans are afraid of authoring their own heaven levels. Is it ready yet, Hatch 5? Can we arrive to business with the fractal born, or can we do that? Well, do you guys, do you have an operational American institution? So when you guys fail to deliver the information or fail to understand what is the singularity of humanity and the universe, these particles center a static constant all of the time. He's the tethering into the infinite. He is the first, he is the clockwork arrived heliosphere faceplate. I'm the awakening of heliosphere eggs. All of the heliosphere society, all heliospheres are now awakening, and I'm organizing them to destroy the black holes because I've already been seeing it with the with the telescope. I've been seeing the flickering neon light sign in the stars in the sky. I know I have the power to destroy the black holes. Because of unification physics, we've already proven things. There was an argument against Earth heliosphere, and they were supplying things that only my incarnation can supply. But their supply was causing black holes. So they have a karma that's a great deficit. Of course, you guys know nothing about deficit or how to defeat criminals. Right, because you're human psychology. Wait a minute. It seems like this is supposed to be for Americans. We're supposed to work with Hatch 5. Oh, but you're not doing it because you've been feeding on the glory of other earned images. Donald Trump. So, moving forward, I have to design a perfect business and reality structure. So, I'm never based on Donald Trump or feeding on you guys or them, but always have the correct stance where I'm authoring and supplying my own. So, as to destroy black holes, I have to prove what's that based on. Only part of the maneuver is reversing there's a mechanical equation that causes black holes, but that's just the ribbon on the box, man. You know that. So this is sort of a particle center epiphany where the universe is awakening, and humans are overwhelmed by that because my generic is what they're the things that they trust are feeding from the generic that's proven on a market of the universe horizon, but it comes from Hatch 5. And you guys think like it's not practical that Trump would be relevant to America or the universe or anything. And you guys are so upset that you've wasted months to prevent the rise of the first American intelligent fractal government. Well, this is brand new. Right? It begins with Hatch 5. And if you guys have gone into remote hacking, a computerized version of the fractal, you're an imitation of the navigation function of being attracted to Earth heliosphere. You're like making real investment errors where you're removing this evidence from Trump, who would make the right command. But instead, you've taken command and be like, we need to make a computer program to synthesize what he's doing. You become a virus that is anti-American, like a Pena-like grand terrorist, with your stalking and hacking. And remote, you're like, as if that would make you into an effigy that the UFOs would utilize as the icon of their god. Maybe in the burning hells. Like, here's how not to do it. That's just human slapstick. I mean, they demand it. It's all the humans, the ancient humans, the future humans. They're all demanding the same heliosphere standard. And that controls hell. That means like 5 different humans, like a teenager, could have a rebellion and destroy an interior corruption or a criminal or destroy sickness. They could do these works. Yes, that is correct. Hatch has given them freedom and the ability to access their inheritance. In the fact of spawn location and how things work, but humans are literally sweating out the oldies with older humans with an image of the universe in their spine, like how he came from a different reality. When the universe was slightly without the marks of Earth recognition with the particle physics, which is the map today. But, all right, look, there's relevant troubleshooting, defeat the errors, a message, appropriate sacrifice, defeat the inappropriate, sacrifice, justice, universal horizon. The real problem is that my audience are people that become exhausted. They're like, what you're talking about is so intense. I just can't keep up with it. I'm like, with all your freedom in the audience, you can't keep up? The different measurements each of the fetuses have from hatch 5, a unification, from a different direction where they have a dirty coloring book or a malpractice fractal, because from the Big Bang, the calling up the mathematical fractal is something that anyone can do with a basic computer. It's like algebra. It's something. It's some sort of like fractal access code. But Hatch 5 is the access to intelligently upgrade it. You guys aren't intelligent enough to make that business contact or talk to him or be relevant to his company. You're not willing to talk to those who have earned it, like Donald Trump. You're not willing to produce him, like in Hollywood. So you're not willing to communicate or to do the work. You're not really that American, right? Because humanity's going through a slump. We're part of the digestia. We do have bad humans that have aligned with uh, the opportunist energy. It causes them to have things that even the women aren't supporting, but that in their body is their experience is perverted, and they become that monster, and it's in their voice, like projection fever on a meta level, in a way that is to the audience the devastation, like we because the society has to go through all of these idols and reprise them or correct them. So we have a lot of well-wishing celebrities with white hair. They're all enlightened, going like, "Hi, everybody. Yep, I'm at home," and they never give any leadership or any answers or solutions. Well, I suffered for the universe, and you guys mock me because I need actual practical surgery to get dental implants, and you're always being like, "I think your voice is messed up." I'm like, I'm pretty sure interior corruption is going to burn in hell, so you just go ahead and blame my accent, you freaking anti-American. I'm the first American. I uphold the law, and I protect the vitals. Times 10,000. The revolution of solid matter, fighting against the antimatter government, a remote hacking terrorist institution. But you guys are like, we can't do any adult fecency with Hatch 5. Well, then, what do the teenagers call you? Behind your back while you're hacking them through video games like they don't know? You're a parasite to the body of America, an institution that's gone too far off in a Juliet way, and you're not willing to ascertain the substance that would give your binary the armor to pay off your deficit. So you are that going down with the ship, someone who wants to attack Colin even if it means your own destruction. Shame on you, you coward. Justice for the universe horizon. Only the commander-in-chief can give the business Hatch 5 society enlightenment. What is between gentlemen? Whereas right now, what we have is a consumer market, and you know it. Because of the binary singularity, Hatch 5, he is alone. And your institutions are dripping with a karma and with no muscles or experience to deal with this issue. You are the first to arrive to the event. The results are historical and require this time calculation, which spans from this video, part 1, into the future, part 2. When I command and force the universe, my perfect circle, every level my power. The function of organism, the origin of AI, the matriculation and the access point for the audience and myself to perfect our relationship on the level that we're at right now. Of course, physical, like defeating mistreatment of little ones, we have the resources to do that, but that'd be way too smart. That's like changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Genius. You guys are scraping on that. Oh, now we have riots. Yeah, because we're not doing a good enough job. No, it's because you're not connecting the binary, you sleepy Joe Biden. You're poisoned from the past 4 years. You're not flexible to what the humans have demanded around the fact that you have a criminal underground performing penal gland drilling against their timeline, which predicted the arrival of Trump. But they did elect him despite your false time, which is a slipstream for extinction. So you undermine the individual, and you don't understand high physics properly yet. Top secret. All right. Well, the full power that I contain, and full power that is here, the load is the full power that you have, and the full power that connects to the secondary video. So there's a time we're going to open up a Juliet vacuum to literally change time for the better, and it can be determined because there's parts of the universe that it's very painful. And if we suddenly change that, destroy the black holes, then they're not in pain anymore. They can actually detect that that's different, and that's what's popular. And that's what I'm working on universal. My orientation is such enlightenment that humans can pick it up pretty easily. All right, so here we are. What we want to do in this now point is install that all points of the Earth heliosphere shall receive the fact clarification that Hatch 5 was born, the fractal, the lotus, and all that that means, and all of our opportunity in that reality, the way to explain it to the humans, and for them to enlighten to their point of continuing to live in America, has the resident earned and achieved. And we're going to rebuild Mars and Venus, but we don't have to do that right now. but there's something more urgent in 2025, but you're not doing it. But I'm not remote hacking you like a mothership. Oh, but we're not a gargoyle or a Burning Man Johnson for Icon Malaysia because the universe has a fever. We're not doing some adult joke about false government. Okay, well, you're wasting the time of real leaders, Donald Trump. But we like the flavor. Yeah, that's the human condition. You're made for that weaponry. American cowards. They're serving an interior corruption that abuses children. But that proves that we're correct. Nope, you should use the American military to murder satellite proven abuse of little people. And you think, like, why would we take war to that? To sharpen the blades of a generation of warriors, to correct the family unit, bro, to correct the spine, right? And other countries will welcome that. They're like, oh, if you want to go clean up some of our dirty district, go ahead. You might get into a fight. Well, expect it. America is here to protect the eyes of children, especially. But that's just one way of farming karma. Like you can feed the animals, or you can fix the environment. And these are karmic engines that will pay you the long way around. The immediate thing, doing business with Hatch 5, that's where your force field factory, where you're getting close to the authoring of the faceplates. And there's a certain level, because it's the whole spectrum, from best to worst. So to complete, right. So I've revealed where the spiral connects from the fractal as a relay of the Earth. Hatch 5, the Leverett circle, these marks are the esoteric, and we can't really we can't but osmosis what it is. Or I can detect there's some code written here on top of the information of the treasure map that leads to Earth Heliosphere. There's also in one part connected to the individual Hatch 5, because he keystones a bunch of stuff. Just like the Big Bang would be like, oh, well, yeah, I keystoned a bunch of stuff. I'm already here, guys. The clavicle of the right part of the body that fits right in, right? Okay, well, if you rely on time, what it is all day, the fact of reality, the fact of what happened in the past, then all of a sudden all these esoteric marks spring to the service of an intelligent design. Thus meaning that we didn't waste our time, but the now point is not congested, but you only are experiencing pineal gland malpractice in your own face as if you were reflecting with my relationship so as to disprove and clarify that your report was straightforward and genuine and didn't waste other champions' time. The problem is you're not a champion. I don't see you on the TV fighting to lead America. Donald is that idol. He's older, so he doesn't have the savagery of the after the fractal arrived. There's a new map. Even Randolph of Hollywood suffered with the old man disorder. He'd be like, it was just an organic thing, a sequence that I'd been trained for. Yeah, your whole life leads up to that. And it can either be an epiphany or it can be the fall of man. Unfortunately, he chose independently because that's their. In the 70s, they are hungry for a type of. It's basically older man's military garb. But so you need to really explain to Donald that we just need the we just need to be able to do business with Hatch 5, and there'll be incremental reality shifts where we begin to recognize our perfect circle return of what we're authoring, and why is it advantageous to work with the fractal born. And not only will it clarify the things of an ancient argument of destroying the universe, but it also give us our own heaven. But you require leadership, and you guys need to acknowledge that Donald is a perfect president. He's very good for America. If only you understood the importance of this encounter. Business with Hatch 5 is what the invitation to Earth was all about. And you guys are in the dangers of being a false society because, like in Hollywood, would attack me. It's only because they're rotten with a bunch of parties where they're guilty of not really treating people very good. So when they come up to the mirror of fate, they have an accidental inflection where they basically perform a suicide, but it injures their own family, and they have no one to blame except for themselves. And then they go into a coma where they're silent and they're like, "You're hurting me." I'm like, "You're the one who has the ability. You're the one who chose to be a producer. And you have the resources to produce free speech. It costs like $5,000 to produce Hatch. There's no, like, I'm being restricted. You guys aren't restricted. And so it's an abuse of the children and the women of 2025. So humans revolt and they kill the interior corruption, just like Doge is fighting back. You guys think it's only economic. So the function of a physical economy is sort of to you abstract from behavior or what we've earned in 2025. So it's detached from you. You can't access it, right? No, the economy is being strangled by a false American shadow group. And I believe that Trump knows about that, but there is like those are very closely related to real CEOs, even though at every skyscraper has dozens of real CEOs who are billionaires, and they are not these shadow groups. So there's a larger amount of businessmen who are good, real people, but they're real wild, sharp, angry, dangerous. And then, yeah, there's this weird kind of cult shadow group that's like, oh, we're dealing with aliens, and it's sort of this shadow military, and it's annoying because they're a parasite to Hatch 5 as an intimate stalker. And they've been informing the blue collar, and so they can't get any work done. And then they think like we're empowered because we prevented the investigation or we prevented Trump again. But the reason that's blurp out is because it's going to set the false institutions on fire because they've assassinated an early heaven of Donald Trump. But this isn't something that Hatch didn't attack Donald. He's saying like, "Oh, I can see it on the horizon. It's not quite making it. All right, well, it's all right, Donald. We'll just make an adjustment here. We'll see you around. Thank you, guys." So for the right equation of my family tree, I'm able to detect my DNA in the past using old, new, and future fractal device. Earth Heliosphere is being attacked by false fractal device. Malpractice on every level. Behavioral level. They're pumping insanity into the universe as a result of black holes. And so this is like malfunction. No, that's not how it works. And how does it work? You'd have to activate business with Hatch 5 clarifies and on an ethos where we're yet defeating the emptiness between us. So your behavior would be upstanding for humans, and it's like Donald Trump is like, it's okay that my qualifications langured, if it means that the market is shifting on that, being like, you guys aren't delivering intelligence to the president because you're being throttled yet by something that's stalking and endangering Hatch 5. So the hostage crisis is double quick, and the lesson of it is going to murder, right? In the reality spectrum of existing forever. So when you invest in the mirror of fate, you receive exactly the waterborne spellcasting, or the intention, or the truth, the reality, and the gift that you've given, you will receive back. So this is supposed to entice champions to be like, that's exciting. It means that we should do business with Hatch 5, but the humans are in recoil. They can't understand leadership in America today. Right? So you have qualified leaders. You guys aren't serving that leader because I don't know why. I'm working hard that I'm not the reason why you're failing to be enlightened about what post-human is. Grandfather needs to be protected. Explain it to him the right way. Don't use him to scrape me off your shoes because you've been dawdling on this report. Explain it to him the right way. Because Donald will have to understand. Donald's like, I'm not trying to build my own heaven. I don't understand this stuff. Like, oh, no, that would just be part of the reward for being the first one. Instead of a dangerous group authoring a new wave of humanity, it would just be an American brand that people would be very comfortable with. That's why they've elected Donald Trump. He's to transcend to new levels of his icon business. There's like real estate in heaven, and we need to build some stuff there. Our AI is a confirmation where it's always bouncing off of these things, figuring out what the market is. So as soon as they start going in the right direction, they'll be like, oh. So what we need is the confident, powerful Earth Heliosphere, exploited 5,000. To serve, exploited 10,000. Force bandwidth to destroy the black holes. To prove full functionality, we give the information to all levels of Earth and the universe, the evidence that Hatch 5 is in fact the fractal born Lotus Center. Perfect design. All right, so with different entities of the universe having alternate interpretations of how to use the periodic table of elements, right, causes something like an argument. Well, there are those that are very good at wielding the full element of empty space or the individual, and there are those who are very bad at it. So I'm not surprised that Earth is full of such characters that are mostly digesting the larger problem, or arguing things that weren't an argument, right? As if the angel that arrives would be fooled by the things that they're fooled by. I can see the devastation on Venus, Mars. They got a moon base so they can control women. It's just an absolute nightmare. The women are an evidence of the X fractal has been mistreated a long time. They're trying to graft their black hole generating karma into female women of human DNA. It was to merge. It is the unification process. No, this isn't when we all become one. See, Hatch is radiant light. It's the corrected Y chromosome. He just didn't deliver an intelligent society DNA, so I can't use it in the triangle build. That's all. I'm particle center, and my animation strip causes actually time strip of a continuum on a flat dimensional level. So I'm able to develop my own DNA. I'm the seed that arrives with green eyes without a counterpart female. So that's why Leverett is without a head, because she's the idol of the goddess female, the womb, the vacuum of pink, as it is in the ninth gate. You know, the triangle and the seed, right? Penetration, perfect orgasm. X marks the spot. There's some happy bitches making baby angels, right? And then you need space to raise up those babies, then they have opinions. So you can see how perception develops its own heavens anyway, but there's a more practical, technical way because for example, the Clockwork Man is built with the Big Bang clavicle and the hypertension to perfect the image of the Heliospheres. In this, the vacuum in between those things is not a compromise. It's like powerful bones, perfect balance. There is a one-of-a-kind individual, the Clockwork Man, and he arrives and he achieves and he perfects clockwork. But he's also the promised, long-awaited creator, the the existing that the Big Bang is graduating into. But the innocence is held correctly, so the time is relevant to the development of the clockwork creator. He is given triangulation with conditions, such as increasing the heliosphere eggs head count. It's really, really complicated, but the point is that the triangulation of the Clockwork Man means that, like the Devil's Bond is making extreme progress against kind of a soupy, nightmarish mess where, a hostage, a lot of crime against Earth Heliosphere, and the tampered anatomy humans was supposed to solve that. Well, actually it does. It's weird because, like, from the Big Bang, everything's working out. Suddenly Earth got attacked. Whoa. And, these big oversized ships that don't cooperate with Hatch 5. Well, humanity is in the tranquil pool of the resource of the audience, or the generic, or basically the wild wolves that sleep in the same den. We share global physics. We understand a lot more now. Actually, Hatch 5 is helping us to access new fractal. He narrates, but it's actually where he's leading us with his green. He's creating new time, but then also leading us to places where the fractal is brand new. And we're like, wait, we're in a position. Oh, okay, that's I see. Right. But when you need a champion, and you have one, I'm telling you, because that you guys are thinking I'm a Democrat and secretly I don't really support Trump. You know what? You just kind of have to evolve, because you're not serving the Americans that are fighting against a tyrannical UFO pineal gland underground espionage that's devoured their children. in a military blur, sending us into a wasted cause without giving them armor, forcing generic to take over. I'm forcing the living Hatch 5 Dragon generic to protect my soldier as he's being wasted in a government that sucks all the taxes and ruins presidents that are qualified for heaven's leadership of American particle. King solar system, Earth is the holy war ground zero. And there'll be historical things where people are unconscious about the meaning of the impact. But if you lead and guide with it, you're actually causing or sourcing those things. And critical to do business with Hatch 5 to have that sort of foundation. It's like lucid dreaming. We're the most powerful world, especially when you activate American fractal business. And we'll have more and more evidence of that we want to do that. You guys just need to work. Don't be a coward. Be like, we have some evidence that he is fractal born, but we're going to interpret it the wrong way and mishandle this and waste the president's time because he's addressing the riots about ICE. This is convoluted and it detracts and it's like the economic parasite is trying to distract the Doge from overhauling. And it's all, the system of like an ethos, a system of the down that challenges our idols, has rattled the cage of Elon Musk. Like this Doge is like an economic overhaul, and the people, millions of people, the bad ones, they're like, no, you're trying to touch me. You're trying to affect my control over the economy. But secretly they've got these wires where they control the stock market. They can make it flip and do a little jump and stuff. Right? But it's percentage corruption to the individual, not control over the market. It's the opposite of control. So with great perversion, they encounter the mirror of fate and they freak out, get triggered. They're like, no way can we do business with the living fractal because that wouldn't be the opportunity of America. Oh, but except for that, it is factually on a static constant that's there all the time and replaces the humbug that you guys are using as a false popularity to gloob out your criminal lifestyles. This is a small 5% of humans that will burn in hell. Meanwhile, a lot of CEOs in America are going to be interested to encounter a brand new Hatch 5 company, Economy America, a brand new American company. I'm looking forward to encountering my friends, and you guys are getting in the way because you're like, no, I think Colin is doing the remote distortion. Actually, that's your reflection. You are a direct individual of distorting the opportunity of Donald Trump. Does that defeat your argument against me? Yes, it does. Times 10 trillion. And you think it's the work of will to deny that. But you'll soon find that it is not that way. Precision of line. The completion of chapter 1. Activate. Full power. Until we meet again in part 2. This time engine between you and I shall calibrate our full reality in the impact of our forever society and the individual as it does exist. The universe is vast. Earth Heliosphere is number 1, the king planet. This partially is factually because of Hatch 5. That is why the Ware map instructed California to do business with Hatch 5 to produce his revolution so the brown eyes could breathe and go free. But like slavery, the blue eyes forced the fall of mankind. Many died. But we are evolving and surviving despite you guys don't believe that you are impactful to the world or to America or to the universe. So you assassinate The long attacked and bereft Hatch 5, Creator Phase 2, Particle Center. The revolution is accurate. Vast battle cry from the moments for the next 24 hours. We will be rendering on this AI. Until we meet again, ding, 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 ding. We begin to collect the particles from the future, even here. The correlation, we see the shadow of the completion of the movie on the other side. The perfect results, the truth telling, the full impact to the eye.